Hello everyone, welcome to Do It Easy. In this video, we will see how to create form in Symfony 4 using FormType. Symfony has a powerful feature of forms using which we do not need to create the HTML form every time in our project, as it is a quite repetitive and time consuming task. Once we create the form using the form type, then we can use it as many times we want in our project. So let's move to the project and see how we can create form using the form type. We will try to create quite similar type of form in our project, as I have included the frequently used form field in this example. So let's start. We need to follow certain steps in order to create the form type. At first, we need to set up the database configuration in our project by going to the .env file. Then second, suppose I want to create a form which will fill the details of that user, and for this I will create the entity, and then regarding that entity we will create the form. Now after creating the form, we will create a controller which will initialize that form and then render that form to the template file, that's the view of the form. So let's start to the project. This is my project and this is the .env file. Here I have already configured the database. You can change your configuration according to your need. Now, as I have told you, we will create a form which will fill the details of the user. So for this we will create that entity. So to create the entity, command is php bin console make entity, then enter. You can see the entity here and the repositories here, user repository. Now we will start adding the parameters in our entity class apart from the state id for now, because as you can see, state id is the mapped key to the another entity class, that is, you can say it is the foreign key used here in the user entity. First is name, string. I am just doing it quickly. If you want to know how to create entity and how to add parameter, and if you have missed any parameters while creating any entity, then you can check my previous video. I will mention that link in the description box. You can go here and see how we can create or update entity. This is boolean. Completing this, we need to create another entity, that is state, and then we will use it as foreign key here. Name, string, C, and then enter. No, it's done now. We have done with our entity and we need to create the migration. So command is php bin console doctrine make migration, enter. Yes, sorry, it is not having the doctrine, and enter, and yes, the migration has been generated, and now we need to migrate that database. Command is php bin console doctrine migration migrate. Yes. So this is our migration of our database, that is the Symfony form. This is a state table and here is the user table. Now we need to map the state table to the user, that is, we need to create the foreign key relationship here. So we will go in our project and command php bin console make entity and go for the alter of user entity. We will add one more property, that is a state id then enter. What will be the type? We will keep it as one-to-one relationship. Enter, and then it is asking to which entity which you want to relate it. It is straight. It is asking and more property, that is no. So for now it is generate another parameter, that is the state ID. So we will create another migration, that is php bin console doc make migration, and then now you can see it has created the ID. It is somehow generated state ID. So it's okay for now. Now we will move ahead to create our form type. Command is php bin console make form, enter, and it is asking the name of the form class. This is the user type, enter. It is asking the name of entity for which you are bounding this to. It is the user, enter. And you can find your form type in src form user type. src form, and here it is your form. It is having all the parameters which we have created in our entity class. Now we need to define the type of the fields for the form regarding this parameter. So the first one is text type class. I will suggest you that link, that is the form type reference. Here it is mentioned that what type of fields can a form contain. You can go through this link. I will mention that link in the description box. So as I am implementing this the text type, so we will go here, and the path I need to use is, the second is the DOB state, third is file type, also is active is choice type. Now in the choice type there are two things. First is a checkbox and second is the radio button. I will show both of these example how we can classify the radio and the choice type further. And the last one is state ID. It will be of entity type. The part to be used is Symfony. So this is about defining the type of the fields of the form. Now we will go in is active. This is of choice type. You need to mention what are the choices you want to give in this field. So how we can do this? We will create a blank array, and inside in it we will type choices, and inside this array we will define all our choices. Similarly, in the state ID column, we need to show the drop down, but in drop down what will be the data will show here, we will define in the third parameter. We will create a array and then class I will pass a parameter. Suppose I will keep as category and define this. What it will return? It category get, as it is accessing the state, so get name. You can go in state and call this, that is get name, and then we will go here and yes, it's done now. Now we will create a controller and initialize this form and then render it to a template. So now we can make changes in this method. You can see inside this it is rendering to user/index.html.twig, that is the template, and we will create the form and pass that view to the template. You can also refer to this link when you type form Symfony 4, then you will find that link. It is the official website. Here it is mentioned clearly how you can create the form. You can see here how we can create a form inside a controller and render to the template. So now at first we will need to create the instance of the user class. User new, we will use the path. Now we will create the form. The form type name, that is the user type, class, and then the user. Now our form is created. We need to pass the view to the template. I will keep my alias name as form data and this is form create and then view. Now you can see in this form these fields are looking quite jumbled as there is no alignment or CSS for this form. So for this there is a solution that Symfony has built-in integration with the Bootstrap 3 and 4. So what you need to do to achieve this, you need to go in config/package. Here it is. You need to go in config/package/twig.yml and here you need to define this and you will see the change. We'll go in twig, yes, here, and then you will see the change. It will look better, and yes, you can see the alignment of the fields and all this. You can also add your class inside the form type in the third parameter, pass array and then attr, that is for attribute, and suppose this is class and form control or any other class. You will see it will add this class or not, as this is a class of Bootstrap. And suppose I want to place a placeholder with name. Now go here and you can see the placeholder, and when we go here and you will see the class name as form control. You can change your class name if you want, that is my name, enter, and you will find the class name. So this way you can also add your class and other options. You can find all these options when you go to this link. Now you can see I have just rendered the entire form at once. If you want to customize the HTML or add the attribute at the time when you rendered your form, then you can also use the form start and form end method to view the form in the template. For this you need to do form start and then form data. Similarly, you need to write the end of that form, this form end. Then between this block you will use the form row method and start typing the name of the field. Name, second is DOB. These names are the first parameter name, you can see, and you can copy also and pick, and is active, and this is the state ID. Suppose you want to div here. I am just giving an example. Just commit in. Yes. This is the alias name which we have passed here in this controller. So keep remember this when you viewing your form. Run this. It is active. It is having underscore. Enter, and then you can see the form. It is not showing so much differences, but you can find the div. I will make differences, test, enter, and you can see this div. So this is about how we can create the form and render it to the template. Now we will see how we can process the form, that is when we will submit that form, what action will be performed. So at first we will add the submit button, on clicking which we will define our action. You can add that button from the form type as well as from the twig file where you have created the view of your form. I will add from the form type. Now we will run this. You can see the submit button is added. Now we will define our action. You can see here there is not any action defined in the form. So we will define what will be the targeted route when we will submit our form. We can define our action from the controller where we have created the form, and also from the twig file where we have created the view. We will do this from the controller. You need to go on the line where you have created the form, then inside this array we will define our action. I am targeting it to the same action. The reason is that it is the recommended way that where you have created your form, the rendering of that form and the handling of that form should be in the same action. The action name is user, this one, and also you can define the method of your action. Here you can see this is the recommended way you should render or handle the request in the same action. Now there are two methods like form is submitted, is valid, which make us sure that our form is submitted or not, or it is valid or not. So we will copy this and paste in our code to save our time. We'll go here and paste this. Now inside this code we will write how we want to process our form. I will simply get the data of the form. Get data. And now I will dump it and return response. Also we will use this as parameter in its path. This path is for response, and now we will run this. We will try to submit this, and yes, it is giving expected argument of type string date time given. Yes, this is the error of the mismatch of the form field type and the parameter data type which we have used in our entity. So we will correct this, as this is giving for DOB. So we'll go in user.php where we have defined a parameter. You can see its type is string, and we have defined in the form, and we have used in our form as date type. So we will change this as date time and regenerate our entity. The command is php bin console make entity regenerate, and then app enter. This will regenerate all the getter and setter of the entities under the entity directory. Why I have used this app? You need to go in doctrine.yml. Here you can see the path config package, then doctrine.yml. Here this is the alias, that is the app for the app/entity. That's why I have given the name as entity, and it has regenerated all the getter and setter. Now we will run this again and try to submit our form. And this is the form data after submitting the form. Here it is the name, it is the date, and it is the state ID and other parameters also. So this way you can create, render and process your form. This is the basic implementation of creating and processing the form. Later on I will also show how we can perform a CRUD operation using a form. So please don't forget to like and subscribe my channel, and thanks for watching.